Talk Tuesday, I'm going to be talking about the strategy of growing your six-figure business. And I was talking last week about understanding the money in your business and how you're going to make the money you want to make. And when you set a six-figure goal in business, you can't just hope that the money's going to come in. You have to be planning where the money's going to come from on a monthly basis, if not more frequently in the beginning. And to me, well, it's not to me, it's just reality, right? The difference between a business and a hobby is making money. That's the key of why we go into business. Now, do we want to serve and do we want to help people and do we have knowledge that we want to share? Absolutely. But we also are here in business to make money. So, hi Julie, I'm glad you're here. So I'm talking about making money in your business and understanding the money in your business. So what I want to talk about today, and I'll try not to overload with too many messages, but first and foremost is that you need to get intimate with the money in your business. And so often the women that I work with are reluctant to do this. And I hear a lot of, I'm not good with numbers, or I'm not good with money. And there is no room for that in business. So first of all, that is just a story that you tell yourself. It's very easy to get comfortable with the numbers and the money in your business. And first and foremost, if you want to grow your business and if you want to grow a six-figure business, you need to know where the money is coming from as it comes into your business. So what do I mean by that? Well, on at least a monthly basis, I actually revisit this all the time, at least weekly. So let's start there. Weekly, you really need to understand, okay, how much money have you made thus far, this month, this year, where are you at right now, okay? What is your goal? And don't be afraid to set goals. You know, what you don't measure, you don't improve. So be very clear that you have a financial goal. So you need to know where you are today versus where you want to go financially. And then you have to understand that what that difference is and how you are going to make up that difference between now and whenever your goal is set for. So if you set an annual goal, and right now, we're coming up on the end of September, you have 3 months left to reach your goal. So if you wanted to make $100,000 and you're at $50,000, well, you've got $50,000 to make up over the next 3 months. And I wouldn't encourage you to do that because it's not that you can't do it, it's a pretty big goal to only be halfway there when you're at the 3/4 mark in the year. So you want to set realistic goals for your money. If you want to make six figures, that's awesome. So do I, and I do. And the way I did it was I started systematically building my business to get there. So what I don't want you to do, because it's completely disempowering, is to have a six-figure goal right out of the gate if you've never made that kind of money in your business. It's probably going to be very hard to get there, and you're just going to get discouraged. And so set a realistic goal, and then you need to keep track of where you are against that goal all the time. And this doesn't have to be hard, right? So like I said, first of all, we need to get rid of this I'm not good with numbers and I'm not good with money self-talk. It's very easy to get good at this, and it's what creates the difference between a business and a hobby. So how you do this? For starters, you could do it, if you're not a spreadsheet, well, let me start with a spreadsheet. You could do it in Excel or you can do it in Google Sheets, and Google Sheets is free to anybody. All you have to do is have a Google account or a Gmail account. And you simply, to figure out where the money's coming in from, just write down all your revenue streams. And that's a fancy way for saying the various different people that are paying you money, right? So if you have a product that you sell, perhaps one of your revenue streams is Amazon. Maybe you're selling on Amazon. Maybe another is your website. Maybe you have a brick and mortar store. So you have all these different revenue streams, places where money's coming in, and you want to keep track of where all that money's coming from. If you're in a service business, it is your clients, right? So, you have client A, client B, client C, and here's how much they're paying you. And so as you look at your finances, you need to understand, first and foremost, where is the money coming from? And as you figure out where you're at today and where you want to go, and you see how much money is the difference between where you are and where you want to be, you can look at some of your existing clients and say, okay, I need 3 more clients like this one to make up the difference. Or, if you're selling products, I need to sell, this much more in each revenue stream to make up the difference. But you guys, you have to be doing this. And I hear way too many women shying away from understanding the money. And I think a lot of people also think, maybe it's gauche or, not appropriate to talk about it. And I'm going to call bullshit on that because if you want to make money, you have to be talking about it, okay? You have to be thinking about it. You have to be working on it. And you have to be setting intentions around it. So when it comes to understanding your money, there really is no excuses for it. Now, when it comes to really digging into the numbers, I remember having a coach who said the first person you should hire in your business is an accountant or a bookkeeper. And I really believed that, but I didn't do it. And you know what? I've since decided that I personally don't think that's a good idea. Why? Because you're not intimately involved in the money then. And I really believe when you're first starting out and until you get to a level where you have like really consistent money coming in and momentum, you need to really understand those numbers yourself. You need to understand where it's coming in from. Think about how much effort it's taking to have that money coming in from that source. And you need to weigh all that out, especially if you're a solopreneur. You've only got so many hours in the week, to do what it is you do. So you want to make sure that the work that you're doing is lucrative. The things that you're putting the most energy into pay the most. And this may seem obvious, but so often we just get into doing mode and not really analyzing how much effort it's taking to make the money, right? So you want to be thinking about that. And to me, you need to be intimately involved with your numbers to really feel that and get really clear. I want to do more of this kind of work. I want to do less of that kind of work because of the energy, but also because of the money that it brings to you. And in the beginning, did I hustle and do some projects that I really didn't want to do? Absolutely, because I needed to get some momentum going. I needed to make some money in my business. And I'm all for doing what you love. I'm all for playing to your strengths and only doing what lights you up. That's awesome. But in the beginning, I don't know, maybe I like to think I'm a realist. I'm actually an optimist at heart. But realistically, sometimes you got to hustle. And that's okay. For me, it was worth it because I'd rather be making a lot of money and not 100% love the work than be the other way around, okay? Where I'm, loving the work and not making that much money. Because for me personally, that is gonna stress me out. So I need to have money coming in. So, I did that a lot in the beginning, but I understood exactly what I was doing. And to me, that's part of the key. So you really need to understand where the money's coming from. And I personally believe the way you do that is to do it yourself. So what are some tools you can use? Well, I already talked about Google Sheets or Excel. Those are a great way to forecast. If you are not that left brain and the thought of going into those tools really hurts your head, don't do it. Do it on your whiteboard. And I'm pointing to my own whiteboard over here because I don't really love doing it in a spreadsheet either. So I actually do old school math on my whiteboard. Like right now, I have some information up there. I had set a goal between August and December that I wanted to make an additional $20,000 in my business. So instead of going into Excel and figuring it all out, I did it on the whiteboard, right? I said, okay, here's my existing revenue streams. How can I leverage each of these to come up with that additional money? Where can I drum up more? And you can come up with infinite combinations, right? And so it's actually really fun to do it here, like on a whiteboard. If you don't want to use Sheets or Excel, whatever works for you, just make sure you do it. But other tools you can use. So I have had businesses where I was incorporated, had an S Corp, I've had an LLC. In this business, this isn't my first rodeo, but in this business, I am going the self-employed route for now. Why? Because I want to keep it simple. I made my finances way too complicated in the beginning with my other ventures by feeling like I had to have the perfect S Corp setup or the perfect LLC and all this stuff. And it was way too much just administrative stuff, having to do the reporting I needed to do. And I was one person, right? And I wasn't doing business that was necessarily going to have that kind of liability. So right now I operate my business self-employed and I use QuickBooks self-employed. And I am not an affiliate and I'm not making any money off of saying that. So I use it because it's easy, right? I have two key accounts that I use to pay for business expenses, right? And it all syncs into QuickBooks Self-Employed. It works kind of like Mint, if you've ever worked with Mint. And once it comes into QuickBooks, I can allocate all those expenses as either business or personal. And if you're not intimately, understanding of what all the various subcategories are under your business expenses, just start there. These are my business expenses, these are my personal expenses, and separate them. Because inevitably, if you're self-employed, you're gonna mingle the two. And this way you can. You also don't need to have a separate business checking account and all this stuff. It's a very easy way to keep it simple, right? So I like QuickBooks Self-Employed. It feeds all my bank charges and also my deposits in there, and then I can allocate it. Is this business or is it personal? And that gives me the ability to generate very quick reports very easily of where I'm at in my business. How much money have I brought in and how much money am I sending out? It also helps me really easy calculate my quarterly taxes. And that's another thing I like about using QuickBooks Self-Employed and being self-employed at this stage of my business, and I'm in year 2, I'm actually going into year 3, is that, I have to pay quarterly estimated taxes, and that also forces me to understand where I'm at in my business. And it helps me make good decisions, right? If I have a huge tax bill this quarter, and I did, and I saw that coming, right? Because I just go into QuickBooks Self-Employed once a month and allocate my expenses, and you can even set up rules. So sometimes it just does it for you automatically. But because I was in there, I knew I was gonna have to pay quarterly taxes in September. In August, I was looking at, okay, are there any expenses, any things I want to invest back into my business, because that will lower my tax burden if I actually buy some things I need to buy. And there were a couple big purchases I wanted to make. One was some help, a virtual assistant. So I signed a full package with her and paid it in full in August, and it really knocked my taxes down to do that. So that's one of the benefits of really being in your numbers all the time, right? You need to understand where the money's coming in, and then you also need to understand where it's going out. So QuickBooks Self-Employed is a great way to do that if you're self-employed. When it comes to invoicing my clients, I use FreshBooks. And I'm not a tremendous fan of FreshBooks. It's just where I started because I worked with a couple people who wanted me to do it that way. And it does make it very simple, for me to send invoices. I don't track expenses in there. I'd be doing double duty, with QuickBooks if I were to do that. So I use FreshBooks to invoice my clients. And I can see very quickly, again, top line, where's the money coming into my business? It doesn't tell me bottom line numbers, but it does at least tell me the top line. And then I can double check that against QuickBooks and really know where I'm at with my money. So I want to, that's a lot of information, right? So I don't want to overdo it. Sometimes I get excited and I want to keep going. You know, I'm looking at my whiteboard because I have some notes over here because sometimes I wing these and I want to make sure I'm not just winging it today. So I wanted to make sure you understood that, or not understood, but I would just want to reiterate, you know, that the real difference between a business and a hobby is making money. So getting comfortable with money and getting comfortable with numbers is a non-negotiable if you're going to be a successful business owner. So I'll talk another time about the psychology side of that, right? And these limiting beliefs and old self-talk that we have about money and how you can shift those. But for right now, suffice it to say, there is no room for, you know, I'm not good with money when you're in business, right? So just turn that around. You don't even have to think about it that hard. Just say, you know what, I am good in business. Just repeat that to yourself. Write it on sticky notes, put it around, and really believe into it. And then do the work of understanding the money. So my assignment to you this week would be to know exactly where you are at in your business this year. So from January 1 to now, know exactly where you're at. Where has all the money come in from? Number one. Where has all the money come in from, and what is the total that you've made this year? Okay. Number two, where has all the money come out? I want you to understand exactly every little thing, because especially nowadays, you guys, with subscription services, you know, SaaS stuff, which is software as a service, you know, you're paying out like 15 bucks here, 10 bucks there, this much for your email, this much for your website hosting, this much to your email provider. You know, if you're running Facebook ads, you're doing expenses that way. Even if you have an offline business, you know, maybe you belong to a group that you're paying monthly dues to, but I'm sure you also have lots of other little expenses in your business. Understand what all of those are. That alone should be a very eye-opening exercise, and you may start to see some areas where you can cut, okay? I believe first and foremost, it's about bringing money in. You have to start there. But once you understand that, the next step is you have to understand where it's going out and tighten it down. And it's very easy to get sloppy that way. But if you're looking at your numbers all the time, you won't, okay? And believe me, I, as much as anyone, do not relish looking at my numbers. I don't relish spending time in QuickBooks, you know, allocating my expenses. So I set up rules. So a lot of them just kind of automatically allocate as they come in. But it's also really good when the rules don't work, and they don't. QuickBooks not perfect. But when I'm really looking at it, you know, I say to myself, hey, you know, do I really need that Canva subscription, right? Or, you know, I'm paying this much money for my email provider. Is there a better way for me to go? So you're always really thinking about how much money's going out. And that's just good financial, you know, responsibility in your business, right? So that was the second piece, is really understand where the money's coming out, okay? So first piece of homework, really know where your money's coming in. Where are you at so far this year, and where has that money come from? And that will help you plan through the rest of the year how you can get the money you need to hit your goals. Secondly, understand where the money is going out of your business and scrutinize it, okay? It's very easy to get sloppy when it's only 10 bucks here or only 15 bucks there, but that all adds up every month. So you need to understand exactly how much money is going out of your business too. And we'll talk a little bit more about break even and understanding that. But just start with these two things, and the beauty of it will not just be, you know, that you'll understand your numbers and you'll be more likely to hit your goals, and certainly that's a big piece of why you want to do this. But the second thing, you know, that's really going to come out of it is you're just going to feel more confident. You know, I had a client come to me recently, a new coaching client, and say that she wanted to feel like a business owner and not a hobbyist. And what that really comes down to is really understanding where you stand financially. That's such a huge piece of it. So I want you to feel empowered, go understand your money. Even if you're scared of what you're going to find, knowledge is power. So don't shy away from it. And that's all.